Let's take you straight to some breaking news coming in from Supreme Court, where the Chief Justice of India, while hearing the matter, has confirmed that today will be the last day of the hearing in the matter. In fact, the CJI said that he will hear the matter till 5 p.m. and then these observations have also come in from other people. Nothing was said to get in the Sunni Waqf Board withdrawing. That is also something that our colleague Vaidyanathan is sending us from inside the court. Now, what exactly has happened so far in this case? 40 days of non-stop hearing in perhaps which is the second longest case being heard by the top court. Now, the Supreme Court, CJI, Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, one amongst the 5 people who are hearing this matter, he has now confirmed that today shall be the last day of the hearing. They will hear the matter till 5 p.m. today and then sit down for a decision, a judgment which is likely to come only in November, around November 15th or so is what we have calculated, because that comes in right before the CJI retires and when the vacation comes to an end. But at the moment, that's what is being discussed in the Supreme Court. The last day when those 5 judges on your screen right now will be hearing all sides of the argument. It's after this that they sit down to write the judgment. If you're just joining us, let me quickly recap what's been happening in the past 5 minutes or so. At 10:40, around that time when the bench sat down to hear the Ayodhya matter, the bench comprising of those 4 judges on your screen right now, they decided that today will be the last day of hearing in this matter. It's day 40 for the constant day-to-day hearing in the Ayodhya land dispute case. And now we are being told the judges have said this. In fact, the CJI himself has come out to say that today until 5 p.m. they will hear and then they will be sitting down to write the judgment. All right, while that happens, let's quickly recap for you how the case has unfolded so far. Let's begin with 1992, when the Babri Masjid was brought down. In the 90s onwards, informal mediation attempts were unsuccessful. Then ultimately, in 2010, the Allahabad High Court ordered a 3-way partition, equal portions of land to be given to all the 3 parties in this case. 2011, the case came to Supreme Court and Supreme Court stayed that order of the Allahabad High Court. In 2019, the top court ordered a mediation process. There were 3 mediators chosen who went to Ayodhya on the ground over there, spoke with all the concerned parties, and they are likely to give their version of whether or not they've managed to come to a consensus to the Supreme Court as well. If that happens, remember, then this judgment coming from the Supreme Court shall not hold. But in the scenario that there is no result of the mediation process, that's when the Supreme Court verdict will be enforced. Cut to August 2019, where 20 weeks of mediation drew a blank, nothing came out of it. Again, the same month, top court began the hearing again, and now the verdict finally expected on the 17th of November. We have Sunil Prabhuna joining us from the Supreme Court lawns. Sunil, so this is clear. By the end of the day, the Supreme Court would have heard everything it needs to hear about the Ayodhya title dispute case, and then they stop hearing this case, judgment only after a month.
Well, as you heard from the Chief Justice himself saying enough is enough, there will be no further adjournments and that today the hearing ends. So it's in that backdrop that 5-judge bench, which is a sitting constitution bench, to look into a very, very critical issue, a land dispute, which has, of course, engrossed an entire nation for over the last 70 years. I mean, it dates back for many, many years, but it's in that backdrop that definitely the Chief Justice of India, speaking on behalf of the bench, saying that enough is enough and there will be no further arguments beyond today. Whether they have heard everybody, that's a matter which we can't really pronounce, because each petitioner, each argument needs to be given its time. But in the interest of justice, in the interest of speedy justice, they have decided that today will be the last day. It much will depend about how they go about that judgment, because each judge has an independent thinking, and once they firm up their positions, who will write that judgment and whether they'll be able to give it on that day is something that we'll have to wait and watch. But definitely a consensus will have to be required. These judges, this is, as I said, an issue which has engrossed this country for years, for decades, and it has far-reaching complications. And it's in that backdrop that a highly politicized dispute, land dispute, ranging on people's faith, is something that the Supreme Court will have to keep uppermost in its mind. So clearly we will have to wait and watch and see how things go. Today is the last day, whether the Chief Justice will go ahead and ensure that every side has been heard in the interest of justice, so as to be able to put their views across, because finally, as you know, Sonal, justice has to be seen to be given, and everybody needs to be heard before a final decision comes.